Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to another episode of the Post NXT show on Fightful.com. I am your host, Alex Pawlowski. Great American Bash. I had to bring out the hat again. Hold on. It's not really this way. This way. There we go. There's the hat. See? Yeah, I know the Uncle Sam. Also, for some reason, these were in the 4th of July bin in the attic. They're like star-spangled Mardi Gras beads. I guess it's like a collision of those two traditions. So it's like, happy birthday, America! Show us your boobs! You know, like 4th of Mardi Gras. So, hey, Great American Bash happened. Pretty great show. We're set up for a lot of really cool stuff going forward. Hunter decided, hey, Hit Row, why don't you go out there and just do whatever, and neither I or anybody else will get involved. Will you do whatever it is that feels authentic to you, and we will give you no notes, because consensus is that Hit Row's North American Championship Cypher celebration was one of the 2 or 3 blackest things that ever happened on WWE television, and it was pretty good. We'll talk about that. My Milwaukee Bucks. I'm wearing the Giannis shirt because Giannis is playing because he's part Wolverine, like he's got adamantium in his blood because he's friggin' healed from that ridiculous knee injury, and now he's playing. They're losing at halftime, but I was always expecting to lose game 1. I'm fine. I can't watch it on the other TV, so I just gotta, I can't watch it and do this at the same time. Who could? So I'm just gonna try and put that out of sight, out of mind. They're losing at halftime. It's fine. Nobody can hit shots. The refs are calling every foul against us. It's just the way it works. But let's talk about the Great American Bash. First of all, we got J.K. Schwal sending a super chat. Says, Alex, please tell me it's coming home to the 414. Also, Hit Row is unbelievably cool. Yes, Hit Row. This is the full hat. I can't pull it down all the way. It's for a child, so it's not. It's being stretched out by my head anyway. Yeah, it's Hit Row is unbelievably cool. It might come home to the 414. Who knows? I had always penciled in 2 losses in the first 2 games at Phoenix, so we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, send in more super chats, and I will read them, and we'll talk about them. The Nerd Guru sent in one. It says, first off, go Bucks. NXT is back. I'm assuming the baby is implied. It's not written, so I'm just going to say it. NXT is back, baby! And the Bash ruled, save for some odd finishes, but damn, that main event was a masterclass in wrestling, and Hit Row. Hit Row. I love me some Hit Row. Wallace Koalis said, haven't watched NXT. We'll have to catch up later. Just dropping in for a Sprecher fund. Thank you very much. I like the root beer better than the soda. Congratulations on NBA Finals, my dude. See you for the next show. Thank you, Wallace. We'll see you for the next show. Thank you so much. Overall, I thought the Great American Bash was a big success. I kind of like that they're using it also to be like, hey, we might get a bigger. Well, I mean, they won't because the NBA Finals are starting tonight, and that's kind of like bad luck for them. Because the NBA Finals could have started tomorrow had the Bucks and Hawks game series went 7. So yeah, This was a really good show. And I think they thought they were going to pull in a bigger number because they're using this show to also advertise for next week, which has a huge main event as well. Let's talk about how this started. In the tradition of the old takeovers, it used to be that the old takeovers would always start with the tag team match. You know, back in the days of the Revival, when they were, the Revival, but now FTR, the Revival versus like American Alpha or DIY, some of their, some of those one-off amazing title matches between UE and Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven, some really great tag team matches that kicked off takeovers. And then the idea was, all right, everybody, follow the tag match if you can. And it was always one of the best matches of the night. And that's what happened here. Timmy and Tommy and Timmy, best friends forever, versus MSK. Something's going to have to be done about the CWC crowd and their revulsion at the sight of MSK. I don't get it. My only thought is this. It's a very small house. So if like 300 people are there, maybe. If 50 of them have decided we hate MSK, and the other 250 are like, I could take him or leave him, then you're going to hear the boos a lot louder. And I think there are people who are like diehard GYV fanatics who do not take off their shoes because they do not hate Zach Gibson. And I think they're kind of pissed that the new kids came in from Impact and were just like pushed to the moon in the tag tournament and became tag champs. And it wasn't their time yet, because NXT is usually pretty good about people come in, they get a big program to start, but aren't usually champs immediately. And I could see some, Full Sail diehards who are, resenting MSK, but they're so fun to watch. I saw people like, you got to turn them heel. Turn MSK heel. What do you do with an MSK tag team as heels? I don't get it. I mean, personally, I'm pulling for Tommy and Timmy because we like friendship. Not that MSK and aren't friends, but Tommy and Timmy are best friends. Like the Fox and the Hound in that one movie. And I love them, and so I was pulling for them personally, but it's weird to hear the crowd like absolutely booing your babyface tag team champions. I don't know. I really know what you do. But the match was great, as you could figure. Tommy and Timmy work perfectly together. Like it's absurd how well they feed off of each other. They feel like it looks like they've been wrestling together for years. Now Ciampa has a lot of experience doing tag stuff. At least he didn't before, but in NXT, he and Gargano were a perfectly oiled machine. That's years ago now since they broke up, but he has that in him. If you hear about it, like when they were paired together and when they first got to NXT, they weren't tag wrestlers and they just fell into it. So Thatcher's working really great with him. MSK are tons of fun. I don't know. I don't know what else you need them to show you, CWC fans. They're tons of fun, and I'm totally. They retain. And I'm totally fine with MSK retaining. I am. I think they're going to find their niche. They're not niche. They're going to find their greatest success globally in front of a lot of people. When they're baby faces chasing titles. And maybe that's been a disservice to them to put the belts on them right away and never get them as baby faces chasing a heel champion they can't quite beat. I think that's probably where their money lies. So I think that MSK doesn't need to be champions if they really want to organically get over. I'm still fine with them being champions because they're great. And I think that Tommy and Timmy don't need the titles. I would love for them to be champions. They don't need the titles. But the finish was dog shit. I loathed the finish. So many amazing double team maneuvers and perfectly set up spots. There's a great moment where this is 2/3 the way through the match. Everyone's been beat to hell. Everyone's tired. Thatcher runs at I think it's Lee. And Lee dodges out of the way. So Thatcher hits Ciampa with an uppercut. And usually if that happens, the oops, I hit my partner, you immediately have to go, damn it, they're running a breakup angle. Because that's usually what happens in Vince's WWE. Darn it, I accidentally hit my friend. Now we hate each other. That's usually what happens. And I'm glad to see that's not what happened this time. But I did love Thatcher's reaction to it. It's like, damn it. And he turns around and has to get involved while Ciampa's recovering over in the corner. Now, Thatcher eventually is taken out, knocked down, and staggers back to his feet. And Wesley does this crazy, cartwheel backflip thing out of the corner, diagonal toward Thatcher. And meanwhile, Ciampa is over here in the corner. And as he's doing the cartwheel thing, Ciampa gets up, runs, and does a basement drop kick that hits Wes Lee in the face as he's doing a cartwheel, on the bottom. It was an amazingly timed bit. It looks so fucking sick. It was so great, guys. There's all kinds of wonderful moves and everything in this match. And then a small package. Just a small package. There were a couple of near falls that sold me a ticket both ways. And then a small package. And I swear, I think it was Lee who rolled up Thatcher, I know got pinned. I think it was Lee who rolled him up. As he just got him in a little inside cradle, little small package. And as the ref is counting 1, I said out loud, oh, you better not do it. 2, 3. And that's it. The most anticlimactic way. You think you're protecting both guys, it was real close because one team only got it with a roll-up, and that's a matter of inches. But just, grow some balls and have somebody hit a devastating maneuver on somebody that somebody can't kick out of. Either way, I don't care. But we shouldn't be taking all this time doing a fucking great tag team match and then being whoopsie daisy, inside cradle. I hate it. It's not as bad as a distraction roll up because it's not Raw, but it's still not great. It's just the match had all the makings of a classic. And then you chose to end it that way. That's no. As the kids say, that ain't it, fam. What did everybody think of the what did everybody think of the set up on the stage? I thought it was fun. But it did it did feel like a little Planet of the Apesy. like they had the Statue of Liberty face facing this way, right? And then they had the Statue of Liberty arm holding the torch facing this way, which is anatomically impossible. You'd have to break her arm off of her body to face the arm, her right arm this way, as her head is facing this way. Like her right shoulder would have to be like down here, and that's not possible. So it did feel like the end of the Planet of the Apes, the original one. No, not the Tim Burton one, the original one from 1968, where Charlton Heston's on the beach after he's ran away from the apes, and then he sees it's an exploded Statue of Liberty, and he goes, "You maniacs! You blew it up! Damn you! God damn you all to hell!" Because in this story, nuclear war had happened in 1968 while he was traveling through space, and he crash landed back on Earth, and it had blown up the empire, the Statue of Liberty. But very, very America. I gotta love America. Stellar Justin Lopez says, now I had NXT on my laptop with no sound watching the finals on TV. I'm pretty sure they botched that pin in women's tag. It looked awkward. It did look a little awkward, but we'll talk about it when we get to that match. Thank you very much for the super chat, Justin Lopez. Please drop a like if you're watching. There are near 300 of you watching live. Somebody drop likes. Drop likes. It really helps us out. Also subscribe if you haven't. We have all kinds of podcasts running live, doing post shows and everything. This is the one that I do after NXT. There's one that I will be on co-hosting tomorrow after AEW Road Rager. And then there's the Raw and SmackDown, and there's all the pay-per-views and all the stuff. Also, subscribe to Fightful Select, where you can get more podcasts there, along with breaking news. And my twice weekly podcast called Sour Graps, where I tear the absolute shit out of Raw and SmackDown because it deserves it. Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, so the intangible one, Cliff Beard, says MSK feels like a short-term thing in NXT. They'll be on the main roster soon, in my opinion. Similar to how KO was only in NXT for 6 months. Well, I think KO was like, he came in and was that guy was so ready. He was so ready. They were like, okay, we know you just became tag champ. Would you like to go up on the main roster and feud with John Cena while still not tag champ, NXT champ? You want to be NXT champ here, be awesome. But also, you should go to the main roster and win your first match against John Cena. We'd like for that to be a thing that you do. MSK, they're a little cocky. But they're confident. Like that's what they should. That's what they should be. And I don't know if we're talking 6 months. 6 months, I could see 6 months. There's going to be a lot of people I think that get brought up, shuffled around. I hope shuffled back and forth. They're going to do the right after SummerSlam. They're going to do the draft, and I would hope. We would, if we're going to drag some people down to the main roster, Raw and SmackDown, I would hope they would call up to the NXT some people from Raw and SmackDown who aren't being used either properly or at all. Yeah. We'll talk about this later, but I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss this super chat from JJ Lee. Hit Row was the blackest thing in WWE since Jagged Edge at Teddy's wedding. Some won't get it, and that's cool. Also, BFAB, respectfully, great show. It was a great show, and we should have only respect for the woman known as BFAB. And that's good. I think we're good. Okay, we go. So I'm gonna tackle this now before we move on, right? Yeah. The Nerd Guru says, I have a raw question. See, when you drop in the questions about things that aren't on topic, I get to talk about them. I mean, within reason. A raw question that Denise and SRS brought up last night. Do Riker and Eva get crickets or loud boos? Also, can we call this Great American Graps? We can absolutely call this the Great American Graps. I'm very upset with myself that I didn't think of that earlier, because I would have like a little title card printed up that says Great American Graps. And your question about Riker and Eva getting crickets or loud boos. Riker's getting crickets because they want you to hate. They want you to like Riker. Nobody likes Riker. He can't get himself over. Never been able to. It's a weird friggin' gimmick they're running with him, which is, hey, this guy probably has PTSD. Cheer for him. So he's gonna get crickets. Eva Marie's gonna get booed out of the building, and not in well, she's doing her job as a heel, but like, get the hell out. That's what she's going to be booed as. That's my opinion, of course. Okay, so let's go. Next thing we get is the battery going up. Well, we'll see. It goes to 91%, which is what we said last week that are going to debut tonight, and they did. We'll talk about it. Regal is there with Samoa Joe. Then he calls out Gargano and Kross, and they come to the ring. And then so they says, all right, well, let's just dispense with the pretense, says Gargano. Let's just go ahead and get it. There we go. You suck. This is a very bold maneuver by WWE. Well, NXT Hunter, just taking all of the shit that Kross is being given about him sucking in the ring and just leaning into it, just turning into the skid like nobody's business, just like. I don't believe I've ever said he sucks in the ring. I think that he does a certain kind of thing. It's perfectly fine. It's very serviceable. What he does does not. I don't feel like it's bad. It just ain't top of the card super monster champion who cannot be beaten. And because he doesn't have the size to be like a Strowman type. Like, obviously he was beaten many times, or like a Lesnar. He doesn't come off as that in the ring. He just seems like a moderately sized professional wrestler. So he doesn't have the size to lean into. And his gimmick sucks. Whatever his gimmick is on any given day. I think the presentation of him is awful. So not assigning blame, because you can't really do that. You can't have Kross come out, and you can't have Gargano come out and say, the problem with you is that you're actually a quite competent in-ring worker, but I don't understand why you have a sorceress for a wife. Like, because that points the finger at themselves, at creative, for screwing everything up, and they wouldn't do that. They'd rather point the finger at Kross sucking in the ring and think, oh yeah, that'll work. That'll get him over. All the people who complain about Karrion Kross being champion will certainly stop complaining when all of his challengers say to his face that he sucks as a wrestler. Like, what? I don't think that's gonna work. Anyway, Gargano says Kross is afraid of him, which is why he tried to hit him with a car. Remember that? Regal says Gargano versus Kross for the NXT title next week. Kross doesn't like it. I'm not afraid of you. I mean, he shouldn't be. He's twice the size of Gargano, but that, there you go. Um, I think about three things that when I wake up: never lose the NXT title, which is like, I don't think that if we're gonna get a San Martino in NXT, I don't think it's gonna be Kross. One day main event WrestleMania, and one day become WWE champion. Well, let's hope none of those three things happen. Let's all just hope together, fingers crossed, that none of those things ever happen. Okay, that's me. At least that's what I'm doing. Again, I think he's perfectly fine, serviceable. Definitely not WrestleMania main eventer or WWE champion material. Personally, that's what I say. He does some stupid like 2012 humor, like, what are you wearing your wife's jeans? Which does allow Gargano to have a perfect comeback, which is, you mentioned my wife's jeans. You couldn't lace my wife's boots, which is just like, oh, please let Candice wrestle men for like, I don't know, 4 months. She could do it. She's done it before in her career. She's really good at it. They're never gonna, but she's a fantastic worker who doesn't get any of that kind of exposure in NXT, and it's really weird because where else would she? Yeah. So then he's like, well, why wait until next week? Says Kross, and he's gonna attack Gargano, but Joe steps in the way. And at some point during this segment, they announce that not only next week is it going to be Kross versus Gargano, but Samoa Joe is going to be special guest referee, which should be a lot of fun. Because if you want to get the title off of Kross so that he can go up to the main event, he can go up to be on main event, to be on Raw or SmackDown. If you really want to get the title off of him, you could have Samoa Joe screw him. Of course, that means that Johnny Gargano would be champion again, which I think a lot of people wouldn't like. As the intangible one, Cliff Beard says, Johnny as champ sounds a bit boring, to be honest. I agree Kross should lose the title soon, but not to Johnny. I hope it's done instead. My pick until tonight had been Kyle O'Reilly, and we'll talk about that and why that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, he could lose it to Dunn. I mean, they'd have to really build Dunn, like with a storyline, I think, to get him there. I love Pete Dunne, but it just, yeah. In Kross's defense, says the Nerd Guru, there's a lot of wrestlers that are pushed on the lame roster that couldn't shine Candice's boots. That's true. Riker being one of them. Yeah. So. There's a pre-recorded promo, Kushida, talking about how he was attacked by the Diamond Mine. He's ready for Roderick Strong. I'm ready for that match. Kushida versus Roderick Strong. There's a lot of scuttlebutt among the journalism types that Roddy Strong is in line for a big time push on NXT. Yeah. Which I would not be opposed to at all. LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. What did I say last week when they made this match? You don't introduce a stipulation like, if X person loses, X person has to be Y person's butler. That stipulation is never introduced unless you're going to have the person lose and become the butler. So I never, ever thought that Grimes was winning this match. He's hugely over with the crowd. They love him entirely, and they hate LA Knight, which is what they're supposed to do. And the match is what it is. I think LA Knight is better than a lot of people think he is, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's slowing it down. He's getting in Cameron Grimes' way. Cameron Grimes has all of his big time hope spots, which are great. He's a fantastic. I won't say baby face. If you put him in a match where you expect people to root for him, he's going to get over just with his selling and reactions to stuff. Apparently, I'll take your word for it. My Bucks are down 19. Penciled in as a loss. Doesn't matter. They lost in game 2 to the Nets by 50, and then came back and won that series. So it's one game. It's one game. As long as everybody makes it out of the game healthy, it's one game. Anyway, Grimes. So Knight wants to bring in the belt. He has a really lame time to like hide it while telling the ref, "Hey, look over there. There's something over there you should grab." And the ref sees the belt and takes it from him. So it winds up on the floor. And then Grimes and Knight wind up on the floor. And Knight does a DDT on the diamond encrusted belt. And so Grimes makes it back in to beat the 10 count, but then is immediately hit with Knight's finisher and loses. So now Cameron Grimes has to be Knight's butler, and NXT gets 10 minutes every week for as long as this lasts of content. We'll see how good the content is. I think Grimes can make it work, but hey, butler, shine my shoes. Hey, butler, wash my car. Hey, butler, bring me a beer. That's all LA Knight has to do. Then it becomes Cameron Grimes figuring out how to make the washing of the car, the shining of the shoes, the getting of the beer, how to make that funny. So we'll see. I have faith in him, but I don't know how long that's really going to go on. Mackenzie Mitchell interviews Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. They don't like Shotzi and Ember, so now they're basically like, we're going to continue this feud with them, and then after we get done with them, then we're going to become tag champs. So I guess that's what we're getting from those 4 women, which is fine. They have good matches with each other. Great. So now they introduce the breakout tournament competitors. Trey Baxter, who we've seen, versus Kushida. Carmelo Hayes, who we've seen in a couple matches, who looked great. He's my pick to win. I think Carmelo Hayes is my pick to win. Andre Chase, Josh Briggs, Ikemen Jiro. The Japanese gentleman with the flowing blonde locks who wrestles in a blazer. I see a lot of people picking him to win, and I guess I haven't watched enough of his stuff on 205 Live because, he's last for me. He may be great in the ring. I'm sure he's very talented, but no, please don't waste the winner of the breakout tournament on a guy whose gimmick is wrestles while wearing a sport coat. Please, let's not. You can have him win the first round, have him be a sentimental favorite for the crowd, but then he loses because there's a ceiling for a guy whose gimmick is I'm basically Funaki, but I wrestle in a sport coat. I don't think that's the ceiling you want for that. Also Joe Gacy, Odyssey Jones, and Duke Hudson. Duke Hudson versus Jiro is next week. Duke Hudson is a very tall, smarmy looking Australian fellow. Odyssey Jones is 6'5" and 405, big old black guy, and I say, sure, why not? Let's see Carmelo Hayes have to get over the biggest hurdle in the final. The intangible one. Yes, that's very true. The Butler sketch will definitely involve a lot of yes. Hey, so Io Shirai and Zoey Stark versus Candice and Indy is a lot of fun. I do love Candice and Indy as a duo. It feels like, I don't know. What do you think our longest tag team champions reign is going to be in the first year of those belts' existence? 3 months? Do we think anybody makes it 3 or 4 months? How long has it been for Indy and Candice? They haven't had a lot of defenses. Like that, I loved the title match when they became champion. That street fight with all the tables and everything. I think that was great. But it feels like it was a few weeks ago. I know it was longer than that, but what is it? Do we have a 4-month reign at some point? Because it was like the first inaugural champions were Raquel and Dakota. They lost it on the same night. Then Ember and Shotzi. And then Candice and Io won those like a month later. Now, this is a very fun match. I think. I really like the way these women work. I will say, I'll say this. We'll talk about this in a second. Zoey and Io, I feel like Zoey Io are we not? We're not. Is that not a thing we're going to do? They became champions. So I'll talk about how that happened. They're champions now. They're getting a tag team name, Zoey Io. And then all of a sudden, in my head, became Morris Day in the Time. Zoey Io, Jungle Love. I think I want to know ya. Jungle Love. Zoey Io. Nobody? I'm too old. That's me. I'm sorry. Yeah. I really enjoyed the dual submission spot. There was a big moonsault that was missed by Shirai, but there's a huge slam on Shirai for a 2 count by Indy, and then the lights go out and the battery charger comes in, and it's Tegan Nox. Yes, it's for those of you who are not old enough to remember the song when it came out. It was featured in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Morris Day and the motherfucking Time. They were Jungle Love is a fantastic song. It's now, I believe, 35 years old. 37 years old, something like that. But Tegan Nox is on the screen. On the screen. She's on the top of the stage. Because lights go back up. It's Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox was the battery. Did we talk about that? She was the Energizer Bunny. She's the battery. Battery's been recharged. She's back. Candice LeRae looks like she's seen a ghost because she was the one to put Tegan Nox on the shelf. Indy tries to get involved because she isn't scared of Tegan Nox. But she winds up getting kicked into LeRae, who falls out of the ring and is chased away by Tegan Nox. And then Stark tags in and hits the 360 TK360. Her spinny go to sleep thing where she like flips them, so they do a backflip into her go to sleep. Her giant knee, that's awesome. They let Zoey get the pinfall. That's cool. And I'm totally into Io and Zoey as tag champs. I love both of them. Gosh, as a rule, I generally don't like, here are two single stars we don't have anything for at the moment. Let's put them together and they'll become a tag team, and they're better in their like first or second match as a tag team than these people who have been tagging together for months or maybe even years. Now, I'm fine with it in this case because this division desperately needs more tag teams. And if you're not going to have Io Shirai in the top in the top title picture, then you have Io Shirai on your screen doing something else because she's that dynamic. And I think Zoey Stark has an incredibly bright future. And I kind of like the idea of her and Io finding out how they work together as champions. I think they can easily lose those titles to Dakota and Raquel when the time is right, or some other tag team they decide to throw together. Who knows? Looks like Candice is going to be busy with Tegan Nox for a while, so she's not going to get the tag titles back anytime soon. But I'm into it. Whatever happened to Dexter is a question from Valab, which is that Dexter showed up during the commercial break and picked up Indy, a semi-conscious Indy, and carried her off looking dead-eyed and straight ahead. So Index is back. So we took the titles off of Indy and Candice. Candice, you go and you're going to play with Tegan for a while. You're going to have several matches in a feud. And then Indy, you and Dexter are going to have here's how I would handle the Index thing. I think that Indy has shown all kinds of comedic ability. I would have them going out to, because Florida's wide open, people. You can do anything in Florida. No, mask optional, mask forbidden. Go out, do whatever you want. It's Florida. It's the Wild West. It's the Wild Southeast. So they should go to all kinds of stereotypical dates, cute dates. We should see them sharing a milkshake at some diner. But Dexter isn't actually drinking from his straw. He's just staring straight ahead. We should see them at the movies. And Indy kind of nuzzles up as they share popcorn, and Dexter's just looking straight ahead. It'll be a comedy. Whatever they're watching is a comedy. Everybody else in the theater is laughing at the joke, and Indy chuckles to herself, and Dexter just looks ahead, dead-eyed and straight-faced. They go to Disneyland. They'll do some fun stuff at Disneyland. They'll be like on Splash Mountain, and they'll get the picture on Splash Mountain. Everybody else is going, including Indy, and Dexter is just like looking straight ahead in the picture on Splash Mountain. Come on, people. That'll be a lot of fun. I think. I think. I'd like it. The Nerd Guru says that Tegan will win the feud with Candice and dethrone Raquel at the Summer Slam Takeover. My prediction. Then they have a Dakota Tegan title program. I think you're right about the first one, and you might be right about the second. I think you're wrong on the timeline. I think that's too many things to happen. I think that the big Candice and Tegan match, the big one, is going to happen at the SummerSlam Takeover. And then if Tegan wins that feud there, maybe in the fall, she'll be the one to dethrone Raquel. I think that's certainly possible. Aaron Entertainment, thank you. You're thinking this is why they need to have us in the writers' room. This is, you take my idea, we spin off on it. Index should do the Lady and the Tramp scene with the spaghetti, right? Except we see the long piece of spaghetti, and it's Indy eating it and kind of chomping it on her way over to Dexter, and he's not even chomping it. It's just hanging out of his mouth lifelessly as he stares off in the middle distance. Huh? It's great. It's perfect. I'm into it. So now we have the interview with Toni Storm. She says Raquel's afraid of her, and she doesn't agree to have a match with Sarray because Sarray's not on her level. Okay. Now, we get. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. I have often thought to myself, in Hunter's NXT, the only aesthetic style that is allowed is like anything on the spectrum of time, from like Motorhead or like 80s Judas Priest to like Slipknot, and then some newer stuff. But that is the musical timeline we are on. Every takeover theme is that type of music. All the aesthetic with the golden skulls and the black raven's wing. Everything is just very like adult contemporary heavy metal. That's kind of, and maybe some of the darker tones of heavy metal, but not much, because there's some dark ass shit out there. But like, that's kind of what Hunter's NXT is. And I've often thought to myself, there are a lot of like, that kind of rock and roll is no longer the prevalent type of music scene out there. Like, these are all young people for the most part, 40 and younger. Like, I'm 41. So I'm older than most of these people, almost all of the wrestlers you have, certainly in NXT, but even on the main roster, older than almost all of them. And I certainly know that kind of thing is not nearly as popular as it once was back in Hunter's day. I'm a lot closer in age to Hunter than I am to, say, some of the younger recruits than Austin Theory, let's say, right? I'm a lot closer to Hunter's age than that. But I can totally understand that if you said, hey, you talk to any of the people walking around wearing their headphones, you say, what are you listening to? It ain't Motorhead. It ain't even Slipknot. A lot of them, regardless of where their background is, a lot of them are listening to hip hop. And that hip hop is never a musical genre that they try to employ. Almost never. Sometimes it's like a real weird sanitized version of it, like Cedric Alexander's theme. But like authentic, real hip hop that is localized to different places throughout America, that's almost never done. So to have Hit Row come out and to do the like a rap concert, basically, that depending on people's taste, I heard everything from this was great to B-Fab was terrible, Top Dollar was horrible, but Swerve saved it or whatever. Like, I thought everybody did fine. B-Fab had a couple of killer lines that I won't dare to repeat because I don't really know them exactly. I thought it was awesome. Our truth raps. Our truth says, say what's up. That ain't this. That ain't what this is. Our truth is sanitized for Vince's protection. That's what that is. Crime Time, I think, certainly was what Vince thought authentic black culture was 15 years ago. I think in hindsight, we all kind of agree. The prevailing opinion, I think in hindsight, is that Crime Time was kind of a stereotype played for laughs in a way that was not necessarily authentic. But this felt different. It felt like Hunter said, okay, you know best. You do what you feel it works. What it feels authentic to you, Hit Row. And they went out and I thought they fucking killed it. Like there seems to be like the coolest, most authentic thing about themselves. It feels real to them. I don't know, man. I loved it. Greg B says leads down to 7. Anything's gravy, man. If they win one of these 2 games in Phoenix, everything's gravy. I feel like they're probably going to hold home court in the series? Probably. So all they got to do is win one in Phoenix. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see them win the series in 7. I wouldn't be shocked to see them lose the series in 5. It's just being a Bucks fan, man. I thought the top dollar he just feels really great as a hype man. Maybe not as like, doing his own thing as a front guy, but Swerve is a star. Like he's dripping with confidence. Like he's got, as they say, swag. I absolutely love it. Valab asks, why is Giannis not resting for these 2 games? I thought he should have, but he went out and worked out before the game, and he was doing all the things he can normally do. And also, if he feels like he's healthy, you would have to chain him to a chair to get him to not play in the game. Yeah. So, the McKenzie interviews William Regal and Samoa Joe. The big thing is that Joe says he doesn't seek to change the trajectory of next week's match, and as long as he is not provoked, he will not be getting involved. May the best man win. And then he sneers into the camera. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole said, hey, let's give him a classic. These 2 guys are consummate professional wrestlers in every way. If they were 6'4" and 225 pounds, they'd be men eventing WrestleManias. It's just the way it works. I loved this match. I say go and watch this match. There are so many. Everything was. Cole comes into the match nursing a gimpy left leg from the attack Kyle O'Reilly countering an attack from Cole, injuring Cole's leg last week when Joe refused to get involved and stop it. So that's what this enters with. And then Cole, throughout the match, attacks Kyle O'Reilly's left leg. So both of them are completely gimpy on that left leg through the entire thing. All that psychology comes into play through the entire match, including like both guys not being able to get somebody else up for a vertical suplex. There's a Panama Sunrise on the outside. Then there's the finish happens when O'Reilly says, hey, I'm going to do that thing where I jump off the top rope and drive a knee into your forehead, because that will definitely make my knee feel good. The one quibble I always have with these matches where they're built around that the whole selling of a limb is when it comes time for them to do their shit, they always get their shit in, regardless of whether or not their shit actually has anything to do with that limb. They always Shinsuke Nakamura matches in NXT never worked for me because they always had his opponent target his knees, trying to hit his legs over and over again, doing all this stuff to his legs. And then all of his big moves involve him hitting you with his knees. And if his knees are horribly damaged, he should not be able to do all of those offensive maneuvers to you without inflicting great damage upon himself. And he always powered through and won. And then the next time he was on NXT, his knees were fine. And I'm willing to let it go in this particular case because both guys were so damaged and they were literally having trouble standing. It was very, very good. But O'Reilly misses with the knee off the top rope, which in hindsight was probably not the best decision, Kyle. And then there's a Panama Sunrise. and the last shot. And Adam Cole wins the straight up wrestling match. So there was a basically no holds barred, unsanctioned match, which you feel probably would favor Adam Cole because he has less morals. He's the guy who's willing to do anything. He'll absolutely take out weapons to use them on you in order to get his victory because he's a bad guy, right? So that you would think would favor Cole, and O'Reilly won. And then tonight they had the straight up wrestling match, just two men and their wits and their knowledge of grappling. And you would think that would favor Kyle O'Reilly, one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the world. Nope, Adam Cole won that. So you could say that they are now at 1-1 with each man getting a victory on the other's home court. And it feels like we are headed toward a Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Trace, number 3, the rubber match, as they say. I don't know what the stip is going to be for that, but there's definitely going to be a stip for it. And then we'll see who wins that. I would assume, I would think it would be O'Reilly would win the third match, win the feud, and progress on to finally becoming a singles champion. But I've been wrong before. If you have not seen this match and you are listening to me, finish watching the rest of this, and then watch that match. It is very, very good. I'm a very big fan of Kyle O'Reilly in ring, and Adam Cole's one of the very best ever at everything. Kyle O'Reilly doesn't have, I don't know, the grab. It's so funny. Just like look at Adam Cole, a guy who's does like. That's the thing. I'm watching Adam Cole, and he just looks like a regular dude. Like he's a regular fella. He doesn't have like 6-pack abs or any, like he's small. He looks like a regular guy you might see like down at the pool walking around. You know, like that's it. He's just a regular guy. But he carries himself like he's 6'5", 250 pounds and shredded. Like that's the way he carries himself. In the ring, on the mic, everything. He feels like he carries himself like he is fucking bulletproof. And I don't know how he does it. It's just great. I love it. And I'm never a fan of multiple times. Let's see this thing over and over and over again, unless you trust the producers to lay out the match right, and the performers to tell the story in the ring differently every time. So if you're telling me after what we saw tonight that I get to see O'Reilly versus Cole again at the SummerSlam time period, whatever they call it, takeover, okay, I'll take that. I could watch that match that happens, a month from now. I'll watch that. People are saying 3 stages of hell. Maybe the stipulation. You never know. They could do whatever they want, man. It would be a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind seeing like something like that. Something we very rarely see. I don't want a 2 out of 3 falls match, which is probably what they're going to do. But I'll take it back. I want to see a 2 out of 3 falls match between these two guys, as long as one of the falls isn't a disqualification. That's what they always do in WWE. I never like it. Just let us have 3 falls, 3 real falls. Iron Man match, last man standing. People are saying, yeah, be great. Thanks everybody for tuning in to watch the post NXT show. I want to say something real quick. This is the 5th anniversary of Fightful. We're around for 5 years. I was here on day one. It's been one of the best 5-year periods in my life. I mean, not just because like my daughter was born during that time, and you know, my family life is pretty good, but I'm amazed at what Fightful has become. Like, I thought it would be a success. I did. I didn't think it was going to be this. And that's all toward, like, honestly, that's all to Sean Ross Sapp and the guys that he hired after I had to step down because I had too many dad duties. I was the assistant editor, basically, for a little less than a year, and it was too much for me. I couldn't do it. But to Sean's credit, they said, "Why don't you stick around and do other things? Because we like having you here." And I can't tell you what that meant. And the reason I am here and doing this, wearing this stupid hat, talking into a laptop camera about NXT, is because of the Fightful faithful, keeping this pirate ship afloat. As we bailed out water for a while, but now I think the hull is sound, good structural integrity, no storms on the horizon. We are good. I'm ready for the next 5 years, for the next 10. This has been my pleasure to be here, part of the Fightful team for 5 years. And I ain't going anywhere until they kick me out. So, yes, everybody, thank you. Subscribe to Fightful Select, because that's where I'm going to be in a little bit, yelling about Raw and how much it sucks. So, thanks, everybody. It's been real. Next week, Johnny versus Karrion Kross with Samoa Joe definitely, probably not getting involved.